It was 20 years ago when game developer Will Wright created a follow-up to a successful SimCity series, a series that was open-ended city building which led to a best-selling computer game and franchise, The Sims. Celebrating its 20th anniversary, we go back to where it all started. The structure of The Sims is actually an agent-based artificial life program. It uses a class of computational models for simulating the actions and interactions of autonomous agents with a view to assessing their effects on the system as a whole. Combine that with artificial intelligence, creativity, and humor, and you have yourself a people simulator living inside of a virtual dollhouse. Although The Sims can't survive completely on their own, the game technically has unlimited replay value on how you decide to play the game. Advance your Sims, torture your Sims, or even use them for storytelling. The idea for the game literally came out of the ashes of a house fire that Will Wright suffered, which destroyed everything that he owned. He had to find a new home and rebuild his life, and this is what inspired him to think of a game that simulates life itself. Another inspiration for The Sims was Christopher Alexander's 1977 book on architecture and urban design. This book, A Pattern Language, inspired Will Wright by the book's focus on the functionality and architecture, and used that inspiration to create a simulation game about enabling human behavior and interaction through design. Another book that was a big influence on what eventually became The Sims was the 1993 Understanding Comics by Scott MacLeod, which outlined the value of abstraction to getting players involved with a story. Will Wright started working on The Sims after releasing Sim Ant in 1991. However, he had difficulty getting it developed at the same time since it was poorly received by a focus group. He convinced his company to work on the project on the side while he went on to develop the titles SimCity 2000 and SimCopter. As the Sims project continued to develop, Will focused more on the actual characters of the game and how they interact with each other. EA Games, also known as Electronic Arts, had first named it Project X. It was later called Dollhouse, but they thought it would be a hard sell to young males. So they then called it the Tactical Domestic Simulator, which probably sounded too complicated until it was all truncated to the name that we know of as The Sims, or as the Japanese know it, Sim People. Ah yes, The Sims, the people simulator. So many wonderful memories. What they do with their life is up to you. There is an entire neighborhood of Sims at your command to live out your wildest dreams or experience your worst nightmares. You can help them or hurt them. It's all up to you. Build them a nice mansion or build them a dump to live in. Buy from over 150 objects to let your Sims live in a material world, like a material girl or boy. Or you can buy them cheap secondhand items and have your Sims tough it out and not try to keep up with the Joneses. Let your Sims live by interacting with all of your creations, such as making friends, insulting your neighbors, getting married, staying single, and having children. Choose a career for your Sim and have them work to the top of the ladder. Or not. Create and control your own simulated people. Whether they are original or based on you, your family, or your friends, you can do it right here. Live their life and tell their story. Give them a purpose to live or have them live on purpose. You can choose to take direct control over their lives or just let them figure it out on their own. Inside the box, we have the CD-ROM, a hefty manual giving you the meaning of life behind The Sims. A shiny advertisement for SimCity 3000 Unlimited. It's the ultimate power trip of a place your Sims can talk about but not really visit. On the flip side, you are teased with Sim Coaster, which is another thing your Sims can't do, but that's what imagination is for. You also get this handy-duty reference card for installation on Windows 95 or 98, although you should be able to get this working on later operating systems with a little tweaking. What I found very useful on this card is all the keyboard shortcuts. I doubt I'd use all of these, but they are there in case I change my mind. And lastly, you get this registration card so that you can properly register your Sims in SimCity on SimEarth. When installing the game, you are presented with this memorable tune. happy, simple times. You have the option to choose English or Espanol, or you can click the secret link over by the Maxis logo for an amusing picture. Once you're at the main menu, you can choose to visit the official Sims website, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but you can pull it up on the Wayback Machine. Naturally, some pictures and animations don't come up and you'll have a hard time finding any files to download, but it's here if you'd like to have a window into the past. There are also demos you can check out, one of which is Sim Theme Park. And the other being the SimCity.com website, which again, you'll need to go to the Wayback Machine. You can also click on more information, but you're probably waiting for me to just install it, so let's do that. It's a very easy process, just follow the prompts, enter your serial key, and you are on your way. No draconian copy protection, online activation, secure ARM, garbage here. As everything starts, you are presented with this classic opening that gives you a sweet preview on what you're about to play. I was always intrigued by this opening because I noticed the indicator over the one Sim's head and how it didn't look like the plumb bob as we came to know it. I wondered if my card just wasn't rendering it correctly. Later, I figured it was just pre-game footage. Sadly, this opening was removed later on down the line after several expansions. Once the game loads up, you are brought to the neighborhood of what many in the community have named Simsville, which included 10 lots, 6 of which have homes, and 2 of those having families. I've always considered the mansion in the upper right corner to be the end goal, since it would take time to save up money to be able to move there. I was excited the first time I was able to do that. You also get to hear some fantastic memorable music from Marc Russo. If you click the house with the arrow, you'll be taken to a very easy to read and follow tutorial on how the game works featuring Bob and Betty Newbie. I recommend going through this even if you are a veteran, because I learned about a few shortcuts of some common tasks such as switching between Sims. Once you've gone through the tutorial, you can continue playing with Bob and Betty, move over to the golf house, or enter Create a Family menu where you'll find 3 more families that you can move into lots, assuming they have the money. You can choose between the Pleasants, the Roomies, or just one Sim known as Michael Bachelor. You can also create your own single Sim or family. Every household starts with 20,000 simoleons, no matter how big or small they are. When creating a Sim, you can choose a personality trait by astrological sign, or you can take the available points and customize your Sim the way you like. I personally like to use astrology and then make minor modifications from there. These traits will affect how well your Sim can learn skills, how they behave, and how they interact with others. You can choose whether your Sim is male or female, and then choose a head, upper and lower body. You can give your Sim a name, choose your family name, and even write a background story if you desire. Once that's done, you can move your Sim into the neighborhood in an empty house that you can afford, or on an empty lot where you can build and furnish your own dwelling with the 20,000 simoleons you have to spend. You've got a choice of over 150 home building materials and furnishings to build, remodel, and furnish your home. There are 2 catalogs, a buy mode for all the furnishings and a build mode for all of your building needs. Each mode has music featured by Jerry Martin. You can hover over each of the items and read some humorous and rather creative descriptions. And most of them will give you stats such as how much comfort, energy, hunger, and other needs that will be important to your Sims. We'll discuss that in a bit. In the buy catalog, you have 20 different types of chairs, 5 beds, 7 types of end tables, 5 counters, and 8 types of tables, a few which can also double as a desk. You also get 8 varieties of wall hangings to include the famous tragic clown, a grandfather clock, a fountain, 4 works of art that don't hang on the wall, 6 types of plants, a pink flamingo and fish tank, 18 different types of electronics to include computers, TVs, stereos, train sets, pinball, phones, fire alarm, burglar alarm, and VR glasses. 14 appliances to include refrigerators, dishwashers, stoves, a grill, trash compactor, coffee and espresso machine, toaster oven, microwave, and food processor. 10 types of plumbing objects such as a shower, toilet, sinks, bathtubs, and a hot tub. 9 lights to include floor and table lights along with a cool lava lamp. And lastly, you've got 22 miscellaneous items to include bookcases, wardrobes, mirrors, dollhouse, toy chest, piano, pool table, basketball hoop, chess table, painting easel, exercise machine, trash can, alarm clock, and a beverage bar. In the build catalog, you have 3 terrain tools to lower, raise, and level the ground, a tool to build a pool with a ladder and diving board, a wall, 4 fences, and 3 columns, 30 types of wall coverings to include painted wallpaper, tiled, wood, and brick, 4 types of stairs, 4 types of fireplaces, 5 trees, 4 types of flowers, 2 bushes, and 3 hedges, 29 different types of tiles to include carpet, tile, wood, and paved, 4 doors and 1 door frame, 8 types of windows, and 3 heights of roofs and 4 types of roof patterns. If you don't like what you've built and realize that building just isn't your cup of tea, you can always go back to the neighborhood and evict the family by clicking and dragging the bulldozer over the lot. You can choose to keep or demolish the house also. If you're not a great builder, you can always download homes that are specific to each lot and bring them into your game. You can also upload your families for others to enjoy. Your creations will be in the export folder, while the downloaded goodies will be in the import folder. Once you load the game up again, you'll be notified of houses with or without families to be loaded into the game by your choice, of course. If you evicted the family, don't worry. You'll find them in the Create a Family menu, where they'll be waiting for you to find a new place to migrate them to. After your sim is situated, it's time to get a job. Grab the newspaper and see what is available. You can choose the featured job of the day, or wait until the next day to see what is being offered. If you place a computer in the home, you'll get 3 selections a day to choose from. There are a total of 10 professions to choose: athletic, business, criminal, which was changed to a mime career for the China version of The Sims, entertainment, law enforcement, medicine, military, politics, science, and extreme, which is sports related. Each profession has 10 levels that you can work towards for promotions and better pay. You can change your profession at any time, so what I usually do is choose the first job available and then change careers once the one I want becomes available. Bills are a thing, so don't wait too long to get that job. If only real life were this simple. There are no weekends or days off, but you are allowed to miss 1 day of work with a warning. If you miss 2 days in a row, you'll be fired. And if you're not working, you're not paying bills, and that has consequences. And if you can't pay for your maid or gardener, they'll just become their own kind of repo man and take something from you too. Jobs require friendships and skills to get promoted, and some jobs require different skills than others. Your Sims can skill in body, charisma, cooking, creativity, logic, and mechanical. Better work on that cooking skill, or else you may have an accident waiting to happen. Or a few accidents. Oh, and you might want to get a security system, just in case. And let's not forget the most important thing about the Sims, and that's their needs. Sims have 8 basic needs that need fulfilling: energy, hunger, room, hygiene, social, fun, comfort, and bladder. Needs will decay over a period of time, so you'll need to manage them, such as sending them to the bathroom, making sure they get plenty of rest, plenty to eat, a clean house, a hot shower, time off for fun, and time to socialize with others so they don't feel alone. Objects provide different levels of needs than others and usually cost more in the catalog. The description of each item will let you know what needs they fulfill, how much, and if the item is a skill leveling object. All of these needs will average out how they feel on the mood meter, which also determines the color of the plumb bob indicator over their head. The overall mood can be a bright green for happy and cheerful, to a bright red for angry and depressed, with varying levels in between. Their overall mood can determine some of the actions available to them, and whether or not they'll do what you command them to. It can also affect their job performance at work and make it really hard for your Sims to get any type of promotion. You can have up to 8 Sims in one family to include adults and children, and if you want a family of just children, you can do that too without any repercussions. So if you want to make a lot of Stranger Things going on, you can certainly do that. Just remember that they are children and they have to attend school every day and study to keep their grades up. Getting A's in school will occasionally award your family with 100 simoleons from relatives, but don't let your kids' grades drop down to an F, because then they'll be taken to military school and you'll never see them again. And if you like telling stories with your Sims, there's a photo album where you can store all the family pictures you take in the game. Another thing I have fond memories of are the television programs and radio stations, both of which I used back when I was doing DJing in The Sims Online with radio stations such as Blazin' Radio, Charmed Radio, and eventually my own radio station, KILR Radio. This was all before I created KILR Television on YouTube, and I had a decent following for a while before the popularity of internet radio declined in favor of services like Pandora and Spotify. I was known as Star Fox back then, and I had a special segment called the Super Sim Song of the Day. I would feature a song from the Sims series to include the ones here from the original game, as well as integrating some of the commercials heard on the television that the Sims watch. Sims have a choice of 4 channels that they can watch: action, romance, horror, and cartoons. Their personality will determine what they like and don't like, and they have no problem telling you about it. Also of note is that this is the only game in which you have a black and white tiny television in which the Sims have to get up and walk over to turn it on, off, and switch channels. When it comes to the radio, they have 4 stations to choose from: rock, Latin, and classical, which feature music from the great Jerry Martin, who's done music for previous Sim games, and also country with music written by Dix Bruce. And while we're on the subject of music, there's one more musician we can't leave out, and that's Kirk Casey with the Sim Nights. All of these songs can be found on the official soundtrack, which you can pick up digitally on Amazon, or you can relax to it on Spotify. You might also be interested to know that the opening theme song to The Sims has an extended version on the Latin channel. Your Sims don't have cell phones, so you'll need to get one for your wall or table if you want to hire the services of a maid, gardener, repairman, or Freddy, the pizza dude. You'll need a phone to contact the police or fire department if you happen to have a burglary or fire with no alarms in the room of the house where it is happening. Although you can call the neighbors that your Sims have already met, you can't have a conversation with them. You'll need to invite them over in order to build your relationship score with them to keep that friendship or seductive romance going. Also throughout the day, your Sim could receive a chance call, which could result in a monetary award, or a prank call that are somewhat interesting. Telephone curfew time is between 1 to 6 a.m., so don't call your neighbors or they'll be rather mad at you. Getting a phone is an option. You can choose to not get one and live a life of complete solitude, or perhaps live off the grid. Keep in mind that you can't take your Sims anywhere in the neighborhood. There's no downtown, old town, community lots, vacation, or even the ability to go visit your neighbors or friends. You can, however, switch over and play those other Sims and invite your main Sim over. You won't be able to control your Sim, but at least it's a way to get out of the house. With a little creativity, you could create something that resembles a community lot, such as a store, with an owner that invites the Sims in the neighborhood to come over. It was a clever way to create stories with your Sims before Going Downtown was introduced to the Sims series. It wasn't until Sims 3 that you could take your Sims and visit other Sims houses. And speaking of other Sims, you can choose to make friends with your neighbors or just be the town bully that everyone hates. You can ask a friend to move in, get married to the one or several that you love, and if your romance is hot enough, you'll get an option to have a baby. Interaction with babies was very limited and they grew up to children within 3 days. However, that is the end of their growth. They will never grow into an adult. And for that matter, your adult Sims will never grow old. Immortality is granted to all of your Sims, unless there's an accident. Or perhaps something you did intentionally. And don't neglect your babies, or the social worker will come and take them away forever. As I mentioned before, you can play these Sims however you want. They have a limited amount of free will in which they can make decisions on their own, which has led to many different types of challenges that the community have come up with. The game is truly your own, and you can customize it further with content created by other players or even yourself. Many tutorials exist on the internet on how to do that, and there is so much in this game to truly cover in just a game review. Suffice it to say, there is a lot of fun to be had in the original Sims. If you've never played the original, then I highly recommend giving it a go to see where it all began. The gameplay is limited compared to the later versions in the series, but then I think that can be a fun challenge in and of itself. See what you can do within the limitations of the game and perhaps add some custom content to give it a nice personal touch. You'll have no trouble finding a copy on eBay or other places on the internet, and you can choose from the original vanilla release, or the deluxe edition if you want a few expansions, or the complete edition if you want them all. However, for the full experience, I recommend starting with the original and adding the expansions as you go. I think you'll enjoy yourself as many have over the course of these past 20 years. And if you like this review of The Sims, then you might like some other reviews I've done, as well as a playthrough series that I'm doing with the original Vanilla Sims. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future videos, follow me on social media, and over on Twitch for some fun live streams. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you around. Have an awesome killer day.